HR will always be seen as a second-tier function unless we deliver great value to organizations. That is, of course, we can do things like helping organizations perform at a high level, perhaps. So recently I came across a term, high-performance organization. I'm sure you and me are both curious about what this is really all about. So in this episode, we have with us, interestingly, Dr. André de Waal over here to share a little bit more about what high-performance organization is all about. So Dr. André, thanks for coming to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much. So for a start, maybe we can share with our viewers, right? What is the definition, or what do you think is a high-performance organization?
Yes, the definition I always use is a high-performance organization is an organization which performs better than its peer group, both financially and non-financially, over an extended period of time of about 5 years.
Okay. So, based on your experience, right, what are some touch points that organizations should pay attention to develop these high potential organizations, or HPO in short?
Yeah, the touch points are derived from my research into HPO. I've looked for about 15 years into what makes organizations great for a sustainable period of time. And there are basically 5 factors. Most of them have to do with people, which is interesting for HR, of course. And if I review them, it's the high quality of management, high quality of employees, openness and action orientation, which basically has to do with the relation between the two, continuous improvement and renewal, and my personal favorite, the long-term orientation. And so we are doing this for our stakeholders.
Okay, so interestingly you touched on the long-term orientation, which brings us to the point of sustainability, right? Yes. So I guess it's relatively easy to perform at high level once off, but how do we ensure that organizations then sustain this high performance then?
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it was actually the start point of my research. I was not so interested in those organizations going up and then going down again, as we see much in the business papers. It's about going up and staying up there. And so what I've been looking at is basically proven practice. And so you develop a framework based on theory, then of course you collect data and you do your statistics, so you get those factors. And then what you actually do is, okay, you get some organizations to start working on those factors, to strengthen them. Basically HPO is all about strengthening the internal organization, so that it's able to deal with all kinds of threats and opportunities in the market. And then you are going to measure over a longer period of time, do I see if the organization goes up at the quality level, becomes a stronger internal organization, do I see then that the performance is actually staying on a high level for this longer period of time? And of course I'm happy to say yes, it does. And it has to do with the fact that, and that's why it's so interesting for HR, if you look at the framework with 5 factors, it has 35 characteristics underneath this.
Okay.
And I think about, say, 28 of the 35 have to do with people. So we're talking about a different mindset, a different mentality, different behavior. And behavior, as you probably know from psychology, changing behavior for real, so that people don't regress in their old behavior under pressure, takes about 3 to 5 years. Which means that basically this is already in there.
So talking about that, you mentioned about the term mentality, which is something I really like, people mentality. So how do we go about creating the kind of spark, to get people start to think about how do they actually need to shift the mindset to move towards this HPO concept itself?
Well, you have to go from the premises that they themselves want to do it.
Okay.
And you can't force somebody to become high performing. I can say, Sam, from now on you'll be high performing, and you probably think to yourself, yeah, right. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
So what you try to do is to entice them, to say, okay, can we get you excited about this whole concept of high performing? Everybody wants to be working on a winning team. You want to be in a winning team, which means help us create this winning team. And how we do this is to actually go to people. And you, as a management, you are not going to say what they need to do. As a management, you're going to ask them, what do you think is needed to become high performance? In your context, in your job, in your environment. And it's just, you involve them in this, You listen to their ideas, and the dialogue is a very important part of HPO.
Okay.
You ask them for their ideas, you discuss them, you take them seriously. Taking seriously is very important. You listen to them, and then you ask them, okay, these are great ideas, go do it. And you'll be the owner of this.
Okay.
You might say that with a big word, you're owner of your own destiny, but it kind of is. And what you see, I've seen the effects quite a few times, and you see that people get really proud of what they're doing now. They get proud of their work, they get proud of their team, they become proud of the organization. And so basically, I mean, that's why it's called, by the way, HPO, High Performance Organization. It's not about high performance management or high performance individual, it's about the whole organization. Everybody should be involved.
So what I'm hearing so far is this: we need to create a vision, basically a high performance. We enable the employees, empower them to become that, and also allow them to take ownership, isn't it? So from that perspective, what do you think from a HR perspective, right, can actually do to create a kind of environment? Is there anything that HR should pay attention to for this?
Yes. If of course I did some research in that area too, and I quite often speak also on conferences for HR people, and I say, I mean, the main issue is becoming HPO is not easy. If it would have been easy, many more organizations would have already done this. So it means that your management, your employees need help. Now, 28 of the 35 have to do with people. They need help. Who should be giving this help? To me, I think that should be HR.
Okay.
Because HR has a lot of experience with job rotation, with skills, with training, with coaching. So they should be targeted towards, okay, what kind of things can we offer, training on the job, whatever coaching can we offer to our people in order for them to develop themselves. And so HR is not in the driving seat because they're not responsible for becoming HPO, because that's everybody. But what they can do is bring in the newest techniques, the newest knowledge about HR techniques, methodologies, IT even, which will help us to do this.
So basically HR is like the catalyst, basically, right? To kind of make this happen, to kind of be a bridge or something.
Yeah, I wouldn't say catalyst, I would, because the catalyst should be management. In the end, I mean, management has to say, we'll go for it, because they have the power. But I would say facilitator.
Okay.
I like the word facilitator. They facilitate this move, this transformation to HPO.
Okay. So we talk about HPO and we understand that not all big organizations or big brand names are HPOs, right? So probably some of the smaller ones, little known ones, actually perform much better. Any examples in the course of your work research that you can share with us? Anyone that stands out in your mind?
Yeah, well, I mean, just to comment on your first part, what we have seen in the research, it's easier for a smaller organization than a bigger organization to become HPO, and it has to do with all these levels. And the further away management is from employees, the more difficult it is how do you make a dialogue when you're over here with these people. So if they're closer, they come together. And I've seen several examples, both in say in Europe, in the UK for instance, but also in Africa, in profit and in non-profit.
Okay.
And I think the big issue what you show there is that first of all, management in both of these organizations, one is in the IT industry, the other one was in government. And most people don't know them, but that's not the point, if you know them or not. The point is that these people were very interested in their clients. And so they know, why do we exist? It's for our clients. And from a government point of view, for you and me, we are their clients. And they will have management which is a very strong management. It has a vision. We say, okay, if we are here for those clients, we need to make sure that our people and our organization is as good as possible. So they paint a picture of, say, the future organization as an HPO. And then they start having discussions with the people first about this, okay, who is against HPO, but this is what it means. And you can shape your own destiny. And I've seen, like, I mean, the journey takes about 3 to 5 years, as I said before. Okay. And I think maybe I can share you one example, which I like very much. Okay. And in this case, it was a company. It's a government organization, but it's not about government. It's about the idea. And they would say to me, Professor de Waal, remember that we sometimes have to go to the bank, which is the opposite side of the street. And it takes us about 50 minutes because the street is very busy. I say, yeah, I remember. I said, well, nowadays, now we have become HPO, it takes us probably between 45 minutes and 90 minutes. I said, wow. The street has become even more busy. Yeah. I say, no, that's not the point. The point is, we wear shirts with the name of our organization is on it, and we now get stopped in the street or even in the bank, and they say, you're from that HPO? I have an issue. I know you can help me. And it turns out it's like 9 of 10 questions they can't help because it's not in their activity base. But what they would say is, we can't help you, but I'm going to find somebody who is going to help you. So their reputation has now become, okay, if you have an issue, I should go to that organization. No, I'd rather go to you, because even though you're not responsible, I know you will help me.
Yeah.
And the effect is, of course, I mean, the reputation of the organization has gone up wildly. All the good people now want to work there, which is very interesting, of course. And you see the way they're proud of this is so unbelievable. I've asked them, and I got an unexpected answer, but I asked them when I was interviewing them for a case study, I said to them, would you ever leave this organization and to go to a non-HPO? And I would expect them the answer to be no. And they said, actually, yes, we would. I said, why? I said, because then we go to that organization and we'll make that organization HPO also.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Wow, cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
You see my big smile now, eh? Because that's what you like to see.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So, which is what we talk about, in terms of dialogues, right? Management involvement.
Yeah.
Interestingly, this is a very good point, because recently there's a lot of research and findings saying that, hey, Singapore has one of the lowest engagement score per se, where people leave, they're unhappy.
Yeah.
So, I guess HPO is probably one of the solutions that we can think about, at least in 3 to 5 year horizon, with good management intervention, buy-in, commitment, as well as more active dialogue. That's what we're hearing so far.
If I can add something to that, it's something which I also discussed when I was doing the conference here in Singapore. Was some recent research I did into happiness at work, because that's what we're talking about. And it turns out the happiness at work consists of 2 factors. One is work engagement, how much do you love your work, and the second one is organizational commitment. And it turns out that both have a positive relation with HPO, of course. Because you can understand, if you're an HPO, your quality of level is much higher, so your work is much more interesting. If you look at organizational commitment, it turns out that yes, if you are an HPO, we love this organization. But if it's not HPO, suddenly it flips around. We don't like it here anymore. So we still love the work, but I don't want to do it here. So the morale of the research basically says you better become HPO as fast as possible, because that's the way how you attract people and also keep people. And otherwise, they're gone.
Okay, it's interesting. So you shared quite a lot of great insights on HPO for us. Any final advice for our HR followers or business people that they should take note of before we end the episode here?
Yes, I will say what one of the CEOs of an HPO company once said to me.
Okay.
And he says, I think every employee has a right on HPO. And I said to him, why do you say it like this? And he says, well, because who doesn't want to be the best for the customer? Who doesn't want to be the best for the colleagues? Who doesn't want to be the best for themselves? Develop them as much as possible. Happiness at work. Who doesn't want to be happy at work but doing some worthwhile things? So what I would say to your viewers, I wish them HPO, because they will not know what's happening to them, but they will never go back.
Okay. And you have a book here that can tell, right?
Yes, that's the book which describes the five factors. Has a lot of case companies in there, and a lot of experiences, how they went about this, what they experienced. And like I said, I mean that's my warning. It's not easy, but it's very rewarding. And I think you will see it also when you read those stories. I think they will be inspired.
Okay, so thank you so much for your time, Dr. André. I think we learned a lot about HPO today, and if you want to find out more about HPO and the stories behind it, check out his book over here and tune in for the next episode. Thank you. If you enjoyed the video, click subscribe and share with your friends. We promise to deliver more interesting stuff in time to come. Check it out, sir. See ya!